Upstairs, I'll take it.
All the betting sites do talk about who the favorite is. You can go look up the odds, but the odds don't necessarily mean they're the actual favorites. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by Bet365. We got AJ, we got Biggie, we got Rudo coming to you live. We'll save the Avs for a second, but I do want to talk about Cup favorites first here, boys. Winnipeg going to win the President's Trophy this year. Washington going to win the East this year. Do we believe either of them are legitimate favorites to win the Stanley Cup?
No.
You lost me on favorites?
Yeah.
Because I would say no.
I would agree. I don't know that I even believe in Washington to make a deep run, if I'm being honest. Now, yeah, maybe they get through their first round opponent and they get a weak New Jersey team or something. Maybe things work out for them. But I think Winnipeg you can at least have a conversation about, right? I think that team has flaws. I think that team is imperfect, but as much as I don't believe in Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs, if that dude gets hot in the playoffs, yeah, they could absolutely do it, right?
Yeah. I also just I'm glad we're going to talk about this because this has been something that's been on my mind for the last few days. With the Avs not playing meaningful games and my brain latching on to dumb random stuff. But I think that Connor Hellebuck playoff failures are just overstated like a touch. Last year was obviously tough, but I went back in the last 45 minutes and rewatched all of the goals against Hellebuck in the series against the Avs last year. And it was bad. It was the first couple of games Hellebuck was bad, and then after that the Avs just torched the Jets. And you're not looking at very many of those and being like, what's this guy doing? It's nowhere near the same level of bad. And then I went back and I watched the year before in their first round loss to Vegas, and it's not he's not the same dominant goaltender, but it's the postseason. And I think even Hellebuck is obviously the key to them. Their skaters are solid. I don't think that they're a paper tiger. I don't think that they're smoke and mirrors, a huge mirage. Between the two teams, Winnipeg and Washington, I believe in Winnipeg way more as a better team. But Washington's path is significantly easier. Beginning in round one, Winnipeg is going to get St. Louis, Minnesota, or Calgary. And I would take all three of those teams in a head-to-head over whichever Columbus or Montreal. And by a wide margin. I
think Montreal's an interesting conversation, but yeah, Columbus for sure.
Winnipeg will then get Colorado or Dallas in round two. Now it's going to be a beat up team. No matter who comes out of Colorado or Dallas is going to be beat up. But
that's true.
That's a much harder path than having to go through one of those teams. Is much harder than having to go through Carolina, who I guess Carolina or New Jersey, since I have to give some respect there for Eric picking New Jersey. Spoiler alert, he picks New Jersey. I just think that the path is so much harder for Winnipeg that it's harder for me to buy. Do I think they're better than Washington? Yes. The work that they're going to have to do in order to win a Stanley Cup is going to be a lot tougher, and I just think that's meaningful. That they're going to have to go through one of Colorado or Dallas in round two, guaranteed, and then most likely LA or Vegas in round 3. And that
Yep.
is that's a
brutal. It's
hard
brutal.
path. That's
Yep.
a hard path.
My take on your first question there is, start in the West there because that's where we reside. But I don't like Winnipeg. I said it last year. I'll say it again. I don't like them. I don't think they're a team. I think they're a regular season team, and I even think Hellebuck's going to be good this postseason. That's what I think, and I think they get upset in the first round. And I know it's like, whatever. I think Calgary, St. Louis, or Minnesota is going to get through them because they're going to feel the pressure. I didn't like them last year. Forget about Hellebuck. Even if he's good, I don't like them. The only guy I like over there is Kevin Cheveldayoff. I like Chevy. I played against him, played with my brother. He's a good man. Other than that, I don't really care for the Winnipeg Jets. You know what I mean? And I'm being honest. I don't see the drive. I don't see the leadership group that's going to make them go through, over the years. And again, surprised me. Great. Awesome. I was wrong. But I think that on that side, I don't see it. I see an upset there. On the other side, Washington, I don't necessarily see an upset. And I've said that. I told Rudo, I don't know if you were there, AJ. I said, that's my surprise this year, Washington Capitals. I know there's a lot of people surprised, but my surprise is I've caught myself a little bit lately. Well, of course, with the great chase, right? You know what I mean? The grade 8, whatever you want to call that chase. So I caught myself watching them a little more lately. But for me, it's that Spencer Carberry. I know he's a Bednar clone, give and take. They play together. They come from the same background, and I see why people like him. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him in my life. But I'll tell you one thing. What I have noticed is how much fun that group has. You know what I mean? Like, it's unreal when you see on the social medias and me, I'm old school, and Rudo makes fun of me every day for being old school, and you know what I mean? But I'm kind of liking stuff that they do, and you know what I mean? Like, behind the scenes, and it seems like they're having fun. And when you have fun, you produce. I don't know if you guys saw the grade 8 with Pat McAfee, though. That was unreal. He was so funny. Like, he was showing everybody on the plane, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is Big Mac here, and this is this, and this is that. I think they seem to have genuinely like a great team atmosphere and a great team like bonding. Now, with that said, if you play Columbus, I mean, wow, we all know what that means. And again, I think Columbus is a great story with the Johnny tragedy from the start of the year. I mean, it's awesome. You know what I mean? That they're right there and they're still relevant and they might make it, right? Or Montreal, and you guys know that. I'm pulling from Montreal. I'm from there. I like Kent. I'm a Demidov fan since last night. Now I get it. Oh, my God, was that crazy. The fans are nuts. Talk about giving pressure to someone. But, I mean, apparently the kid doesn't care. He loves it. You know what I mean? I guess he loves it. He's got that personality that doesn't affect him. And, he just kind of loves this crap. And, again, he's going to learn. Obviously, that little goal that, he kind of causes, right? He's going to learn how to, in a 2-2 game. But it wouldn't be 2-2 if it wasn't for him because he made both plays before, right? You know what I mean? So I think you can see a 7-game series there. I do think that Washington would come through, but would they go all the way to the Cup Finals? I don't think so. You know what I mean? But so just to say that they're favorites to win the Cup, I would say Winnipeg, no. Washington, no. But maybe Washington gets out of the first round. Don't even know.
The one thing about the Jets, though, I will say is if Adam Lowry or Vlad Nemesnikov was Colorado's second-line center, what would the conversation be around here?
Based on the Casey Middlestat conversation, we'd run him out of town, so...
It would be, oh God, this is a really big problem. We don't have do not have the goods for this. This is not a center lineup that's good enough to go deep.
Yep. And
then you factor in that they're going to have to go against two of the deepest forward cores in the NHL in round 2. One of those, they're going against one of them. And right now, I would say Dallas and Colorado have my 2 favorite forward cores in the NHL. Certainly out west.
I would agree.
And it starts with what they have down the middle, and that's where Winnipeg has its biggest problem. Adam Lowry is really good. He's a tank and a great matchup guy, a great like superstar eraser. Does what he can, right? Like he does a lot of heavy lifting, some underrated offense. Like he's really, really good. Mark Scheifele's had a wonderful year, and the Connor Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi top line, really good. It's really good. But everything after that is an open question mark, especially with Nikolai Ehlers being announced today as week to week, because he was their secret sauce. Nikolai Ehlers on their second line, a point per game player. He averaged like 16 minutes or something this year. He was a point per game player. The guy's amazing. And that is a huge, huge problem for them. If they don't have Nikolai Ehlers, the Jets are in real trouble. It might happen in round one, but if they don't have Ehlers in a series against Dallas or Colorado, I'm not picking them. But that combined with their center depth issues, I'm not. You have to talk me into it. It has to be Bucky has to be exceptional for it to be for that team to do what they need to do.
What was a team whose depth forwards you feel like, okay, Gabe Vilardi and Nick Ehlers, maybe you can get away with not the most perfect center depth beyond those two guys in your top six, is now it's pretty darn thin for that team. And their defense is fine. Josh Morrissey's awesome. Always loved him. They have a bunch of middling guys. I've always liked Dylan DeMello, but they're paying him $5 million to be a better player than he actually is. They have a bunch of guys that you go, okay, Colin Miller's fine. Okay, this guy's fine. All right, Sandberg's fine. They have a bunch of fine guys, but when you compare their defensive depth to a team like the Avs, it's not all that close.
Look, Dylan Sandberg's really good, man. Another guy, by the way, who just got smoked by an official the other day. So,
yeah, I saw that.
was it Sandberg or was it Ehlers that got hit by the ref? I actually don't remember.
No, Ehlers got hit.
It was Ehlers. Okay, Sandberg got hurt in that game too, but I think he's okay. I think he's
Sandberg.
Right.
They said is fine,
but Sandberg is, for my money, really, really underrated. The big thing there is that offensively he doesn't have the juice right now, but defensively that guy's really good. He is. Just comparing to Colorado, like if I'm picking Dylan Sandberg, Esa Lindell, or Sam Girard as like those teams like third defenseman, I take Sandberg.
I don't know if I agree with that, but that's fine. I'm not going to argue too much on that. Maybe the bigger problem for them is Neil Pionk is just still Neil Pionk. Not that Neil Pionk is bad, fine hockey player, but when they went out and traded for that guy, the expectation was for him to rise from that point and become a key part of this defense. And he's still just a guy on their defense. Solid. You take that guy in your top four, but he's not riding shotgun with Josh Morrissey as a top guy for them.
Yeah, see, and I would disagree. I think Neil Pionk is a bum. I think he's an overrated bum.
I don't think he's that bad, but
he's got a great name. Pionk. You know.
Yeah.
Pionk.
Wonderful name. One of those names when you read it, you hear it, like it's got a distinct noise to it. Like if you say Colin Miller, it's just like it sounds like whatever that guy's, whatever the sound you make is whatever that person's voice is. But with Pionk, everybody says it the same. It's just Pionk.
There's only one way to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chad, just so you guys know, like me, Rudo and myself have always loved Ehlers, and AJ hates him. He's always hated him, but now he likes him because
confirmed Ehlers hater. AJ hates for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
On the flip side,
hold on. I got one more thing to say. Like,
okay.
You know when people open the tennis ball, cans of tennis balls, and they say it smells good. Freaking new puck smells unbelievable. I never noticed that. It smells better than tennis balls. New pucks. All right, move on.
Here. I'm going to leave that one. The other side of this, Washington is the team that's having too many dudes that are having career years right now. When you look up and down their lineup, they're having a PDO bender. And like the breakout of Dylan Strome over the last 3 years is awesome. I think that's one of the parts of them that might actually be legitimate. But then you look all around him. Alexei Protas went from a 6-goal season to a 30-goal season. The dude is shooting over 20%. Not sustainable. You even look at someone like a PLD or a Tom Wilson. All of these guys are shooting so far above their career averages this year. Maybe they just stay on the PDO bender for 2 more months and everything goes their way and they win. But statistically, they're much more likely to regress to the mean, and they're gonna have some problems if that happens. So,
and I know lately they've given up a lot of goals, but we all know it's kind of like the Avs; they weren't going anywhere, right? But 7-0 dropping the other day, and the goalies have been so good all year. Again, are they going to be able to keep that up in the playoffs? I don't know. I'm not judging the past 10 days because that's not fair. It's like judging the Avs on the past 10 days.
Watching any Dallas, Colorado, Washington the past 10 days has been meaningless hockey. We do have to take a break. I do want to talk about this a little bit more, though. But before we get into that, let's pay a few bills here, as we are brought to you by the official craft beer of DNVR in Breckenridge Brewery. Go get yourself some Breck Brew anywhere in the United States. You can find it at your local liquor store, wherever it is. Use the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com. They have a flavor for everyone, whether it's a simple Avalanche Amber Ale or one of their seasonals or a hoppy one or a sour one or a wheat one or a Palisade Peach, you name it. They've got beers for every occasion, for every taste, for every flavor. You name it. Breck Brew has a beer for you. If you come down to the DNVR bar, you can even get an Avalanche for $2 off during Avalanche games. So you're going to want to make sure you're getting down to the playoffs. Also, you should be okay for round 1, I think, to just show up for Avs playoff games. But if the Avs make it deep, you're going to want to get to the bar early. I'll put it to you that way.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So go check out Breck Brew. Go get yourself some. breckbrew.com. You can also check out all their cool merch. Again, they're available everywhere. Find it in a local liquor store near you. Once you got a good Breck Brew, sometimes it's fun to have beer. Enjoy yourself. Sometimes you also got to take care of yourself, too. Make sure you're doing the right things. And that is where Timeline comes in. Of course, they have health and longevity supplements for you to purchase. Their big feature is MitoPure, which is their main ingredient. MitoPure works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline. So you can see increased strength, energy, and endurance when you take MitoPure. They've done over 15 years of research and have 30-plus U.S. patents for their products, so they do absolutely know what they're talking about. Make sure you go get in with them if you haven't tried it out yet. Basically, it recharges your cells and makes your body systems work better. Everyone knows the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's what MitoPure works with. It delivers double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance over a long period of time, and you don't even really have to change your exercise routine, so that's a win for everyone. Get ready to be your best, most energized, and most revitalized you. Right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure when you go to timeline.com/DNVR today to get started. That's timeline.com/DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Anything else on Washington, or should we move on? Good.
Yeah, I'm good on the Caps. We'll have there's a series preview, and I guess
we'll deeper dive in the previews and stuff. So I mostly just wanted to talk about legitimacy of Cup favorites at the moment.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the other 1 seeds in both conferences. Not 100%, but very likely to be Toronto in the East and going to be Vegas in the West. I don't know that we really need to talk about Toronto much. The entire hockey world has had that conversation 100 times. Vegas, though, probably on the short list for Cup favorites.
I'm not a Toronto hater.
Sure.
I wouldn't say obviously
they're an organization that has to prove it at this point.
Yeah. They're very much Kings territory of it's a good team. But it hasn't been a great team, and picking a best of 7, I will say the Maple Leafs, funny enough, defense and goaltending, it's much better than what it has been in the past, and their forward depth, kind of not great. It's kind of stinky, and I think that's the thing that scares me about them outside of not trusting their goalies. Even though I like both of them. So, anyway, moving on. Sorry, Vegas. They're good.
Yeah. I would have Vegas on, I'll say, top 4 Cup favorites for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I like Vegas. I do.
I
And I'll tell you. I mean, while AJ's thinking, I'll tell you what I think. Like
Sure.
for me, a cup favorite is all. And again, I've always been this way, unless disaster strikes. But and you're gonna say, well, you're so dumb because there's not a lot of repeat cup winners. You know what I mean? Well, there's been a lot of repeat finalists. You know what I mean? Because Tampa, Florida. I mean, I'm just saying. Who knows if the Avs didn't have those things that happened the last couple? Who knows? But the way I look at it is, I go back 3 to 4 years, and for me, if you were a Cup champ there in those windows and your core's still there, you're still a favorite in my book. You know what I mean? So I go back to the Avalanche of 22. They're still one of my favorites. Go back to Vegas, which is a year after. That's why I'm telling you that they're my one of my favorites. Um, Now, does that mean? I mean, you're going to say you're so dumb because both of them are in the West. I know. So is Dallas, and the West is a gauntlet. We all know that. And then you got to look at last year, Florida again. Are they going to do it now 3 times in a row as a final? I don't know. They're pretty banged up down the stretch here. We shall see. But if you've won, you know how to win. That makes you a weapon. It makes you a dangerous team. Knowing how to win is a weapon. I haven't been there is a weapon. And when you still have a bunch of dudes that have been there, like your core guys, Avs, Vegas to a certain extent, they still have Eichel and, what I mean, Theodore and Stone and, even Hill that's been there. You know what I mean? Like, so you still have those guys. So I think for me, experience and having one is a big weapon. So I have to put them in there as favorites, even though I'm not picking them. Because I'm open, as you know, since day one. I said the Avs are coming out of the West. I'm sticking to that. I'm not changing. So, but I do believe that Vegas is a handful for whoever is going to play them. And if it ends up being the Avs in the third round, it wouldn't be in the second round, right? There's no way in the second round, is there? Third, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, not against the Avs.
Yeah, so I'm just saying they're a handful. And Florida's a handful too, because I know they've been.
We'll get to the Florida
up and
teams
down all year. No, but I'm saying like I'm the 3-4 winners, right? So that's why I'm putting Vegas in that category because of experience and having won. It's two big things for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the top of their lineup is pretty unimpeachable. Eichel, Stone, Hurdle, and then Theodore and Pietrangelo on the back end. I mean, it's really, really good. Their depth, not what it was when they won the Cup.
The things that we talk about though, they've got a goaltender who won a Stanley Cup, and whether or not you believe Adin Hill is going to be a great NHL goaltender for a long time isn't really the conversation. It's, can he get hot in a postseason? The answer has already proven to be yes. So, I would still say I'm iffy on him the same way that I'm iffy on most of the goaltenders out West. But you look at when we talk about the Avs, one of their strengths is center depth and defense. And I think Vegas has the best defense of the West teams that we all take seriously. I think they have the best defense out West, and their center depth between Eichel and Hurdle and William Karlsson. I mean, that's awesome. That's really good down the middle. I think it's better than what the Avs have with McKinnon, Nelson, and Coyle, but I think it's close. The real separator there is I think Karlsson is better than Coyle, but outside of that, like those are really good centers. I like Colorado's wing depth. You add Gabe Landeskog into Colorado's lineup, I like Colorado's wing depth better. But hey, kudos to Dorofeyev with his 30-goal season. Guy's a beast.
Awesome.
A beast. And good Lord, do they have that one play that they run on that nasty power play of theirs? Do not take a penalty against them. And if they do, they're going to run that play, and you have to stop it. Do not let them run that one play with Hurdle, Eichel, and Stone. Do not.
The top of their wing depth is fine. You mentioned Dorofeyev. Barbashev's great for them. Smith has been a decent addition, getting back a guy that they're familiar with. It's after that things kind of start falling apart in a hurry for them. So I'm definitely not a huge believer in Aiden Hill. I know his goals against look great. As you mentioned, Vegas as a team has been very, very good defensively. Just a 906 save percentage for Hill, which this year is actually above league average, but not really that good.
I don't mind why either. I like Nick
Nick Waugh
for where he is in the lineup.
Me too.
He's missing Carrier. He's missing All-Star Carrier. AJ
Will
Knight's
Carrier,
All-Star.
baby. That guy rocks.
Should have won. He can't dress because he's always hurt. But oh boy, if he did dress all the time, this guy would be the hottest commodity on the bottom of the lineup in the NHL every year. But he's always hurt. And Brett Howden's been great too. Brett Howden, great call there, Brad. Brett Howden's got 20 goals. So
nobody cares how many goals you scored in the regular season when the playoffs start.
All right, so we've talked ourselves into Vegas being even better than we originally thought here. Great. Very cool.
No, I still think they're right about where I thought they were.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, once the postseason starts, how much gas is left in the tank with Brandon Saad, because he got to Vegas and it was like shot out of a cannon. Like, he was like rejuvenated, right?
Is that just the 10-game bump though? Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, nah. All right, we hit the wall. We're back. Like,
yep.
He might just kind of be like right at the finish line there.
Yep.
A smart player where once you get him into a postseason series, he may not be able to hang.
Yep.
So I'm
Parisi like.
Maybe. I don't want to get into that too soon.
Mechanically, I think Parise could handle the physicality better, but anyway.
No, but I'm saying end of the rope. End of the rope, you know. It was the end of the rope.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida, the battle for Florida. Obviously, you're never going to count out the defending Cup champs. They get that nod just by default. I do think Florida has some issues that they're facing this year with injuries and suspensions and otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying what Tampa's selling, but maybe you guys can convince me otherwise.
I'm a Florida guy, so I'm not a Tampa guy. I'm talking about Panthers. I know they're both in Florida, but I'm a Panthers guy. I believe in experience. I think they make it all the way through, but I do think that they win the first round. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think they're resting some guys, even though when I say resting is they're banged up, and Ekblad with the substance thing that he took for recovery, and he'll be back game 2 or whatever it was after his 20-game suspension, game 3. So he's gonna miss the first 2. I like Big Bob. I like Bobrovsky. I like their experience. I like Sammy Bennett. Kachuk will be back. Now you add Marchand to this. They're not fun to play against. And they have skill. I mean, oh my God, Barkov, one of the best centermen in the league. And then you have Reinhart. I mean, I still can't count them out. I like what Tampa did. I like what Julian did. And, went back and got our boy Gord. And, wondering if the Avs were in on this one. We should ask. Try to find out. Because we liked him. He was near our board, right? Our top of our board. So I do believe that Florida, just because of the experience and what I said earlier, and I know Tampa's won too, you know what I mean? But now you're getting out of the window of the 3-4 years, right? You're going back to the bubble, and you know what I mean? And I think Stamkos is not there anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just saying they have a different kind of leadership group there now, I know Hedman's still there, and the big cat in that, and that's a big cat. Meow, meow. It's not like Kibby. Kibby's my guy. Kibby's a meow, meow. Big cat Vasilevsky is more a roar. Like, roar. So I'm
it's like a house cat versus a tiger.
Yeah. And I love my house cat. Kibby's the man. I'm not bashing Kibby, but Vasilevsky's still an elite goaltender. You know what I mean? But so's Bob. So I take the Panthers, because of it's hard not to pick them right now.
As a Cup favorite, though?
No, well, I know. I was thinking more getting out of the first round. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Okay, well, Cup favorites got to do more than get out of the first round.
I still
I'm
think
taking
you have
Tampa
to
Bay,
take
man.
them.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming.
All right, I'll give it to you, but I don't think Florida's going to. I don't think neither of them are favorites. But I think Florida, because you won last year, you have to be in the favorites. Just because the fact that you won last year.
I semantics aside, because I think that's a fair statement, but I just, with all the injuries that Florida has, like, they're so banged up, but we're also talking about 2 long playoff runs, I think is going to take its toll on everybody. And I just like this Tampa Bay team. I think that they're explosive offensively again. They're not, like, their finishing ability is better than their 5v5 process, but scoring goals is pretty important. And I think that Tampa Bay's pretty good at that. And Vasilevsky has been an elite goaltender since like February. Like, he turned the wick up and it just hasn't gone back down. Like, he's been fantastic. And my curiosity with Tampa is the back end of that defense needs protecting. And I don't love their forward depth as much. It really hurts. Bjorkstrand being hurt really does take some of the juice out of that lineup, because part of the appeal is that they were really deep after that deal with Gordon Bjorkstrand, where it's like, hey, those guys are depth for them, you know? Like, these are third line players. They just remade their third line. It was expensive, but that's a really good addition, and I think that some of the injuries have shortened it up for them. So I'm not sure that I like either Florida team as cup contenders, or I should say cup favorites. Sorry. That's our conversation, is cup favorites. Yeah. I would take both of them out of that, with the possibility of, if we fast forward 6 weeks and one of those teams is still in it and is playing tip-top hockey and it looks like they're incredible, then I'm not going to be surprised. They both have the goods. It's just, can they tap into it? And right now, my belief is more in Tampa Bay than in the Panthers.
I mean, that's the playoffs, is who can tap into it, right? Get good at the right times. We do have to take another break here, pay a few more bills, so let's do that, and then talk about the Avs. The DNVR Avalanche Podcast here. The official vehicle of DNVR is Toyota. Go get yourself a Toyota, your local Front Range dealerships. Of course, they've got trucks like the Tundra. Whether you're going off-road, you got things like the 4Runner or the RAV4. They've got 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles. They also have the most zero-emission vehicles and zero-emission and electric vehicles, combined than any other automaker. You can get whatever you want, 16 different types of those. Whether it's the SUVs, the sedans, the trucks, the hatchbacks, you name it. Toyota's got a vehicle for everyone. Make sure you're getting over to your Front Range Toyota dealerships to get into not just the official vehicle of us here at DNVR, but the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. You can get to those dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, let's go places. Once you've got yourself into Toyota, make sure you're also taking care of yourself with UC Health. UC Health wants you to learn more about living like there is a tomorrow. You can go over to uchealth.org to do that. Being healthy is important because, you can be healthy to exist during an Avs Cup run. That's a good thing. Thing you want to be around for, hopefully. So make sure you're getting with UC Health today. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Again, uchealth.org for more info. UC Health. Live extraordinary. And now is also a great time to become a DNVR diehard. We're going to call it the playoff sale. I know it's technically the NFL draft sale, but we're calling it the NHL Playoff sale. You can get half off, basically, for our diehard membership. $36 for a full year membership that comes with access to all of AJ's amazing written pieces, all the stuff Justin is doing for us now, too. You get a free shirt when you do sign up as well. It's a bunch of great deals at the bar, all sorts of amazing stuff for the diehard membership. It's a great time to sign up and become a member today. You also get access to the Discord where you can at AJ and I to talk to you about hockey, and we'll write soup and stuff about who we like and who we don't like. So that's maybe the best perk. Yeah, do it. Use that QR code on screen. Go get yourself a great deal on a DNVR diehard membership. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Avs And Dallas, we do have a whole preview for them coming out soon, so we don't have to get too deep into the details here, but I think we all believe either of these teams could well be Cup favorites this year. And I want to get into the Avs conversation by hearing what the Avs had to say. Look, we've been talking about the Avs getting healthy and things might be lining up well. Sounds like that might be the case with what Jared Bednar had to say at practice. So let's hear from him and see where the Avs are at.
During playoffs, just raise your hand. I will call on you. Sorry, Bailey.
Coach, season's ending a little earlier for you guys than most. How do you maximize the next couple of days before this weekend?
Well, a little bit of everything. Little rest, little mental preparation, some good practices. Probably get some more rest at the end of the week and gear up and get ready to go. It's actually should be a perfect scenario for us, especially with some of the guys that we got out with injuries. They still got a little bit of time.
Ryan, then Pat.
I know you talked about it a little bit over the weekend, but successful conditioning stint for Landeskog. What's it like watching that unfold, seeing how he comes out of it, and then having him here at practice at the end of it?
Number one, it's exciting that he's back and playing. I'm really happy for him. I know it's been a long road. Number two, I think it's exciting for us because it may give us another option here when we get to the weekend and start playing playoff games. So see how he responds this week and see how it all goes. But to have another player of his caliber possibly being ready to go is only a positive one from my mind.
Pat?
I mean, there's no easy into the playoffs, obviously, but it just seems the road in the Western Conference this year is particularly difficult. How difficult is it facing Dallas and what they bring in the first round matchup?
Yeah, it's difficult, but that's the new NHL, right? It's league likes it that way. You're getting long, hard-fought series right out of the gate. You're getting top teams matching up in different divisions, and so it certainly makes it difficult. But I mean, that's the road that we have. So we finished where we finished. They finished where they are. Playing a really good team, one of the top teams in the league right away. And if we're fortunate enough to advance, we'll have to do it again 3 more times likely. So looking forward to the matchup. You know, you got to get out of the gate, you got to play well right away, and you're gonna have to play your best hockey for 2 weeks in order to win.
Troy, then Eric.
Coach, when I talked to you earlier in the year about the new goalies, you said they gave you reliability, kind of knew what to expect. What is it about McKenzie specifically that makes you feel like he's ready for the moment and the pressure of the playoffs? One thing kind of missing on his resume right now.
Yeah, I just think it's, you are what you repeatedly do, and he's been really good for us. So you watch him play, you watch what he brings to the table when it comes to size, ability. He's a veteran guy with lots of experience, even though he hasn't been in the playoffs, and I think that can continue to translate into playoff hockey. I mean, he's been good in big games for us. He's been good in all situations, and we feel like that you just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be just fine.
Eric.
Jared, over the last whatever it's been, months since the trade deadline, you've talked a lot about the center depth and what they've brought in. Specifically, Charlie Coyle, even before his offensive production, it was a lot of his face-offs and his two-way play and all that. But now that he's starting to produce the way that he is, like, he has a lot of playoff experience. Like, do you see him kind of as like an X factor in your lineup?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Since he's been here, actually, and because of all those reasons you just stated, I think it becomes even more important, that depth that we added when you're playing a team like Dallas. Because from night to night, I couldn't tell you what their first line is, right? Is it Hintz, Robertson, and Mikko? One night carries their team to victory. The next night it's Ben and Johnston, and the next night it's Duchesne, Marchment, and Seguin. So those 3 lines and the way they produce and the way they play, and pretty equally distributed throughout the course of games. They all play their own certain situations, but all 3 of those lines play a lot, and they're all really dangerous lines. So we're going to need to be able to use all of our depth in order to win against them. It's just that simple, because you can't cover off one line with a matchup and then fail in the others, right? So we're going to need our depth, and we're going to need them all to play well. And I think Charlie and Nelly both have big roles to play in that.
Jesse, then Megan.
I know you're not going to talk about it too much, but that depth, we saw a lot of guys out this last week. A lot of them were on the ice today. You guys are feeling pretty positive about having close to a full lineup come Saturday?
We are hoping so, yeah. We'll see what the week brings, but I think tomorrow's practice will tell us a lot and how guys respond coming out of that.
Megan?
What are some similarities and differences of the Dallas team that you saw in the playoffs last year and the Dallas team you're expecting for round one?
Yeah, well, the depth scoring, their forward group, that's I'd say the biggest similarity. I think they were a dangerous team last year offensively, and they're a dangerous team again this year. They finished top 6 in goals for and goals against this season, so kind of when you look at the analytics from last year, same kind of thing. You know, they've struggled a little bit here recently keeping the puck out of their net, but I think that's part of just where they were in the standings and, you know, the circumstances that they're in, sort of comfortably in that second spot, and I expect them to bounce back and that it'll be a hard-fought series. So I think in areas of our game that we should be better than we were last year. And it was a hard-fought series, and you look at the analytics in that series and how tight every game was. Pretty close series, ended in 6, and we were on the short end of that, so we have to be, you know, incrementally better in a few different areas.
Ryan, then Bailey again.
I know you said we'll see how the week goes for Gabe in particular, but at this point, is there sort of a plan, like ramp up to a potential game 1, or is it just we'll see when we get?
Yeah, we'll see. You know, I got to make lineup decisions too, so at some point here, and we're talking about a bunch of different scenarios, so then it could be ramp up for game 1, maybe not. We'll just have to see how the week goes.
From November to January to March, you guys have had a lot of new guys come into this group. Do you feel like they've assimilated and found the identity of this group at this point?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think for a long stretch after the break or after the trade deadline, everyone gets in. There's a little bit of a feeling out period, and then we played some really good hockey. And we've seen flashes of that even over the last couple of weeks with guys in and out of the lineup. It's given us some opportunities to keep experimenting with our lines and see who's playing well together, and we certainly have some guys ramping up here for the playoffs, Coyle being one of them, which is really good to see when it comes to the offensive side of things. So guys are rested. I think we feel pretty good about it, and we'll start our prep as a team tomorrow.
A few last ones, Evan.
Marty has a lot of playoff experience in Carolina, but his numbers are not as quite as what they are in the regular season. Do you go back and look at what kind of worked for him, what didn't work, or do you kind of just give him a fresh plate going forward?
Fresh plate, but I know what worked for him already and what doesn't. It's the same thing that works for him and what doesn't in regular season. So we've had some discussions on his play and what he needs to do, because I think he can be a huge X factor in this series.
Pat, and then Troy.
I know you've already faced Mikko once, but is it kind of almost surreal given what he's contributed to you in the playoffs in the past? He's on the other side now.
Yeah. It's going to be different, you know, but that's his new home, and it's going to be his new home for 8 years. So that's the life of pro hockey sometimes, in the business side of it. So he's going to be a big factor in this series. And again, it's not just one player and one line. It's, you know, a pretty deep team over there that we have to deal with.
Last one, Troy.
Health willing with Gabe, when you make a decision like that, is it based on just what he could bring on the ice, or does the intangible of his leadership that guys talk about that resonates so much, is that part of the decision as well, of what it would mean for him, to them mentally, to see him out there?
Yeah, I think that has to play a small role, but the decision has to be mainly on what he can do for us on the ice. Yeah. But I do think you have to take everything into account when you talk about putting them into the lineup.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I mean, Bedsy pretty open about it with the way things are headed towards this Dallas series. Gave Dallas a lot of credit. They're a good hockey team. Avs still have the ability to get it done, though. One of those key factors, very likely the return of Gabe Landeskog. McKinnon talked a little bit about the possibility of that, so let's see what he had to say about it.
And him potentially joining you guys.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, it brings joy to everybody, seeing him play. It's a lot of fun, and it looks great out there.
What was the experience like for you, just being there and getting to see it and take it all in?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, don't know what to expect, obviously, but I thought every shift he looked better. I thought game 2 he looked a lot better as well. He almost played 20 minutes or something like that. So, he's in a good spot. Hopefully, he can keep progressing, and we'll have him back here this weekend.
Do you see the player he was in there, like as he's working through it?
Yeah, it doesn't leave. I mean, he's he's Gabe Landeskog at the end of the day, and obviously there's going to be some rust. 3 years is a crazy amount of time off. And he hasn't really been practicing that much either. So we've just been so busy. There's been no practice, which is too bad for him. But I think he looks great. And game situations, you can still see those instincts are there. He's still got it for sure.
How important is it for you to get this rest before the playoffs start, mentally and physically?
Hopefully it helps. I think just day by day, trying to feel good. We all have stuff. I think everybody has stuff going on right now. So it's how you use your time. So trying to get ready for game one.
I know you've already played against him once, but what is it going to be like to see Mikko on Saturday or Sunday?
I don't know. I'm just really, really focused on this team, and like I said, I played against friends before, so it is what it is for sure.
This is potentially the healthiest and fullest your team has been heading into playoffs. How much confidence does that instill into you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we feel like we can win. This is ever since we won, we haven't had this kind of team, so it's that's the goal, and but honestly, the road to winning is a tough one. So I think all of our focus is just trying to win game one and have a good start in game one, and then go from there.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks, Nate.
My
There you
God,
go.
dude. My internal hype machine is getting out of control.
Alarm
I am
bells are
trying to stay
ringing. Yeah.
cool. I have like 4 written pieces that I need to get published because I'm driving this week. I need to get this stuff done and out. And I am listening to these guys and I'm like, oh my God, this reminds me, like listening to them reminded me, going through all of their interviews that they did today and listening through them reminded me so much of listening when I was in the locker room before their series against the Calgary Flames. Sorry, Eric, to bring this back up. And it was interesting. Like that different situation. That was a 1 versus an 8. But like, that's a really confident hockey team, and they sound like they're giving proper respect to Dallas. They're not like, well, we think there are things that we can exploit and attend. They're like, every one of those players was like, that's a really good hockey team. We have a lot of respect for them. Like, that's the team that bounced them last year. Of course they're going to say that, And the guys that weren't there are like, yeah, I'm here now. Problem solved. This is fixed. Let's go smoke these guys. And I'm sorry, but without Miro Heiskanen, this Dallas team is super vulnerable. I know I'm derailing this, but I'm just on one hand, I'm bipolar. On the second hand, I think this is a really good Avalanche team, and I think that this is a matchup that everything has kind of aligned itself perfectly for the Avs to finally beat Dallas in the postseason. I really don't want to get crazy with it, but
the
it's
vibes
hard
are
not
good,
to.
man.
It's hard not to be excited.
I don't want to sound too full of myself, but I'm proud of the vast majority of content that I make. There are 3 or 4 things I've ever made where I knew from the beginning it was going to be really cool. The hype video we're making this year is really cool.
Yeah, it is cool, man. It looks when you sent it to me the other day, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna cry when this thing comes out.
That's just what the vibes are around this playoffs. So it's hockey, so maybe the Avs lose in 4 and we all cry and that's the end of it. But they might also do really well.
Dude, if they lose in 4, I quit. That would suck.
Done. Just out.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't get crushed like this again. That Vegas loss just about ruined my entire life. So, I responded to the Dallas loss last year by changing my job, quitting the podcast, and moving across the country. So I don't know what's gonna happen if they lose to him again.
Dallas loss is disastrous for AJ.
Yeah,
AJ's livelihood.
disastrous.
I did want to shift gears a little bit because there have been some conversations going around. Well, first of all, look, wild card stories are always great. I don't think you legitimately can call a wild card, at least this year, a legitimate cup favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it was easier to buy into St. Louis continuing it when they still had Dylan Holloway, whose identity perfectly fit what they do well and how they get going. Without him, like it's like they need every single one of their guys to do it, and obviously, like it's going to require Jordan Binnington to go Super Saiyan.
Yeah. I mean, we can just jump into this conversation then, since you brought up St. Louis. It's not even guaranteed that they make the playoffs yet. Calgary can still catch them. And Calgary retains their own destiny now. If Calgary wins both games, they'll have the tiebreaker on St. Louis. That's not true. If St. Louis does have to... St. Louis can't win in regulation. St. Louis wins in overtime, fine. But St. Louis can't win in regulation. And Calgary retains their own destiny.
A little crazy.
That from the hottest team in the world might not make it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, lots.
Well, again, you win 15 in a row. You're going to drop 5 out of 6. That's just life, right? It doesn't matter. It's the best teams in the world. You will. So when that does, and that's what it did, Calgary actually got back on track, and then all of a sudden that's where the gap is now, which is right there.
Yeah. If Calgary does it, great. That'd be a fun story. I'm down. I don't particularly care either way on the wild card conversation, but
look, does it change the Calder conversation if Dustin Wolf sneaks the Flames in while Montreal chokes away their postseason spot? I know the answer is no, but Dustin Wolf is the man, and I love him, and I am ambivalent towards Lane Hudson.
Can Ivan Demidov win the Calder based off of one hockey game?
Hell
I think he does. If you put voting in Montreal, yes, he wins. Guy's the new Guy Lafleur. It's awesome. I mean, what a welcome. Talk about putting pressure on the kid. That's awesome. No, I think Lane wins it. Hudson hands down. So.
Yeah.
2 conversations I wanted to have. One of them will take 7 seconds. I think we all agree, like the vast majority of the NHL world, bring back the 1-8 seeding. Yes?
No, I'm out on it. Give me 1 through 16.
Okay, sure. I'm down for that.
I want 1 through 16.
You didn't know this, but this is the perfect lead into my next segment. If we're doing 1 through 16, should we just do away with conference side wildcards? Because if you do away with conference side wildcards, Vancouver would be 1 point ahead of the Montreal Canadiens for a wildcard spot.
Okay, then we don't want that. No, we don't. I'm just kidding. No, I love 1 to 16. I do. I want 1 to 16. That'd be awesome. But I get why they're trying to get those divisional rivalries. And again, somehow their formula is working, because for the 27th time in 27 years, the Edmonton Oilers are playing the LA Kings. Dallas Stars are playing the Colorado Avalanche. So their formula is working. That's what they were trying to do. Now, do I like it? No. But their formula is working, because they were trying to get those rivalries built.
Is their
through
formula
playoffs.
working?
Well, on what they were trying to do, it is.
They're playing each other, but and we're hoping the Avs buck the trend this year, but a bunch of teams are playing each other, and the same teams just keep winning. It's not it's building rivalries.
I'm talking about the creating the rivalries, and I
but it's not building anything, right? Because they keep losing.
That's
the same
ideally
team
the problem.
Losing. Yeah,
like the Battle of Florida again. Okay, LA Edmonton again. Okay. Like Colorado Dallas I can live with, but that should be a later matchup. It's just it do you hate any of these teams more? Like, do Oilers fans even care about the Kings after 3 straight postseason wins? Like, when they lose this year, is it suddenly a rivalry because the Oilers have had a ton of injuries and everything is going to go the Kings' way leading into this series? Like, give me a break. Like, no, they tried to artificially manufacture it, and when you do that, the best rivalries happened organically. It was iron sharpens iron. It's because teams kept meeting later in the postseason, not because you played in the first round every year. Colorado, Detroit, Colorado, Dallas back in the day, those were great series because of what was at stake.
Yep.
Not because they were meeting in the first round all the time. The artificially making it, no, boring. The majority, I would say the majority of the hockey people that I am exposed to do not care will not even watch Kings Oilers for the most part. It'll be like, hey, if that's the late game on, and because of the two teams involved, it probably will be one of the late games. Fine, I'll watch it. But otherwise, it's not priority viewing for most people. It's just not. It's boring.
Yep.
Well, I mean, as you know, I love 1-16 because that's what I was born with. Again, there was not 32 teams back then, but 1-16 was the way to do it back then. And I mean, as you know, I'm going to say I'm mad they took out the red line, which chat has no idea what I'm talking about because they're probably too young. That
you got to get over it. The game is better.
I know. I'm just saying. So I do love 1-16. You know what I mean?
What if it was more than 1-16?
Oh, what do you want to do? You want to do play-ins or what?
I don't want to change it at all right now, but the concept that I floated on, I don't even remember where I floated it the other day.
Blue Sky.
What happens, this expansion that we're talking about, the NHL supposedly still aggressively seeking expansion. We could be up to 34 teams by the end of this decade. We could be up to 36 or more by the middle of the next decade. At that point, less than half your league is making the playoffs with a 16-team playoff. Do you look at expansion of the playoffs at that point, or do you guys comfortable leaving it as is?
I think when you get to, I already think this should be happening. We've seen it be a really big success in the NBA personally, and I think it's fun. But I think a 1-game play-in system,
like MLB style.
Yeah, honestly, yes. Sorry, excuse me. I think that would be a lot of fun. The you do kind of like what they do in the NBA, where you do 7-8 against each other, and then 9-10 against each other, and then that's how they figure it out. And I would be down. I think that would be fun, especially as this continues to expand.
I agree with Joseph there. I don't think the lead needs 36 teams, but whatever.
A topic for a different day.
Talent at 36 teams is going to be the 7th round picks are going to be even less valuable. 36 teams per round, like you're gonna have 400 picks by the time this thing is over.
They also floated the idea of cutting it to 5-round draft, right? So
at 36 teams, they're going to need to.
I mean, when I started, it was 12 rounds. So,
which was always crazy, but
there was only like 21 teams or whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, when I grew up, there was 9 rounds, and that was too many. So,
no, it was 12 for me. So, my brother was a 12th rounder. So, you know what I mean?
In case anybody was curious, a 1-16 format would have Colorado and Edmonton in round 1. With Colorado having home ice advantage.
I'd take that given where Edmonton's at the moment, but
yeah, right. Darnell Nurse about to get suspended. No Matthias Ekholm. You're like, okay. Stuart Skinner exists. Like, I'll take these chances. This sounds fun. Honestly, that sounds a lot more fun than LA Edmonton round 4. No, thank you.
For sure.
And then just reseed from there. That sounds way better.
I mean, I'm down for reseeding for sure. That's a thing that needs to happen. I don't know if I love 1-16, but I definitely would like 1-8 for sure.
I can understand the travel. I think would be really it's gonna.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Yeah.
It's hell on a player's body. You would have to go back to the old 2-3-2. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to go 2-2-1-1.
LA pulls Tampa or something, and it's like, what the hell is this?
I'm just
first
saying.
Round and you know.
Yeah.
A 2-3-2 would be great for travel, like media travel, like trying to figure this out.
That's one plane right in, one plane right out.
Exactly. Like, oh, hey, okay, now it's all right. We've got all of our stuff booked for Dallas, but then we don't know if we need to book for Game 5. We don't know if we need to book for Game 7. Like, it's just such like a behind the scenes hellish nightmare to try and plan any of this. A 2-3-2 would be wonderful, although I can understand why those systems stopped being used.
Really quickly, we are headed into overtime here. So if you're watching on TV, we do need to get you on over to the DNVR.com where the conversation continues online. All right. Sorry to cut you off there, AJ, but
you're good. I'm just talking.
Punch him.
All of us are just talking on this show. That's literally all that ever happens on the show, to be fair. So
I'm just making mouth noises. That's all.
All right. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You have to pick a number one Cup favorite today, this year. Obviously, in 1 week's time, we may feel entirely differently about this. But today, who's your number one Cup favorite?
I don't want to start.
Dallas?
I'll go first.
Go.
I'm picking them. The Avs. That's who I'm picking. I picked them when they had that nothing burger roster in September with the nothing burger goal. I mean, goaltending. I'm picking them. I mean, I know this is an Avs podcast, but I'm being truthful. I'm being honest. I mean, this roster construction is outstanding, and that's why I'm picking them.
Okay. I'm going to pick Vegas just because I think I like the Avs underdog story better. Not because I necessarily believe it, but
that's what makes the Avs underdogs. You've arbitrarily decided Vegas is the top.
Deciding Vegas is the Cup favorite makes the Avs underdogs. Yes, I have that much power.
They're gonna post it in the Avs locker room. Nobody believes in us.
I went away from
AJ,
that. See,
you can say Dallas now, buddy.
The hard part here is that coming out of the Central for Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado, coming out of the Central is a brutal path.
Who knows what health they're at the end of that, if they make it. Yeah.
And that is like my biggest hesitation here. It's an absolute mess to come through that path, and then you go through a Vegas and LA and Edmonton, whoever's it's going to be. And then the best team out east, like that's a really difficult pathway, and I don't give a shit. It's Colorado. They're too deep. They're too talented. Their superstars are monsters. I think Mackenzie Blackwood is about to hit a level that we haven't seen, and Cale Makar. I don't. Maybe it's just the wish being the father of the thought, but I think Cale Makar is going to do something monstrous in this postseason, and I'm feeling it. And I think that they're locked in. We've got a nice little revenge path over Dallas and potentially over Vegas, and then remind Winnipeg, their place in the hockey world. Give them another little beatdown, and then you're in the Cup final. And I've always said we're talking about a Cup final matchup. I don't care. So
yeah, true enough. Honestly, if you make the Final Four, whatever happens on that part from that point.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, ma'am. And with it, Colorado's just lined up so nicely for it. There are some sneaky, really awesome storylines for Colorado. I think the Eric Johnson thing is powerful in the room. I think it's powerful. And obviously we're talking Gabe, like the Gabe Landeskog stuff here. We don't know how effective of a player he's going to be, but this is an emotional lift. Like the mother of all emotional lifts. And it could get the Avs off to a flying start early in the series, because when we get deeper into it, Gabe Landeskog's going to get better and better the more he plays, assuming that he doesn't just call it quits at some point and say, I can't do it. But if he's going to be able to stick it out, he's going to get better. Colorado's depth is very good. It's very effective. They have the superstar talent. They have the depth. They have centers. They have a solid defense. Their biggest quote-unquote weakness is Mackenzie Blackwood, and I'm buying stock. And that's just why I think that they're the team to beat. And let's see if they can do it in 20 games like the other team did.
They do that. Oof, is it an era for the Colorado Avalanche? I'll put it to you that way.
Mm-hmm.
He's smelling pucks out here again.
Gotta wait till Friday. Saturday, sorry.
That's what we should do. Instead of smelling salts before game one on the pregame show, we should all smell pucks.
Smell I really like. That's probably just as bad as smelling pucks. Trading cards. They smell really good. Anyway.
Bubble gum. Bubble gum.
I don't have much of a sense of smell, so I guess I don't have an answer for this.
I didn't for years either, and then one year it came back. I don't know. Anyway, we are going to get out of here unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Can I just touch on this point really quickly from chat that Travis has made like 16 times? If Makar goes down with injury, no shit, the Avs are in trouble.
Any team's best player, and they're in trouble. Like, what?
If Leon Draisaitl goes down, the Oilers are in trouble. No shit. Why do you think that the hype in Colorado is what it is? With no Miro Heiskanen at the beginning of the series, Dallas is in trouble. With Miro Heiskanen, it's a very different series. If Josh Morrissey goes down for Winnipeg, if Connor Hellebuck gets hurt, guess what?
Eichel gets hurt in round one. Vegas isn't a cup
Jets are cooked.
Anymore. Like, come on,
Golden Knights are cooked. Take off anybody's best player, second best player, depending on how you want it to be. No shit. Great point. Are you kidding me with this?
We're gonna get out of here unless you want to pile on too.
No, Zuri, like this makes me like pastime till Friday. That's what it is.
That's his new smelling salts,
it
right?
Ranks in there as like, all right, let's play hockey.
Yeah,
it smells
you
like
still
hockey.
got that? You still got smelling salts? See, we might need some. It's gonna be a lot of 8 o'clock starts in the playoffs.
Now. Yeah, we gotta get some.
We are done. We appreciate y'all. We will be off tomorrow, but we will be back Thursday, and you can expect our playoff previews to start coming out as standalone videos on the second end of the week. So we appreciate y'all. It's always fun. We'll see you on the next one. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.